It's been a pretty toxy-turvy week. So usually I like to stream on Monday, but I've been at this new position, and because of that, it's pretty difficult to set these up. Thanks to my ever fluctuating schedule. Um, I'm gonna see if I can find some way to still have Monday be the one of the 2 days. But if I can't, I'll find some way of doing it twice a week. But yeah, it's been a really interesting last couple of days, I tell you. Um, it's always funny to think about streaming on holidays and how people have this notion in their head of like, oh, this person is going to be spending time with their family. It's like, well, uh, because I have streamed on Christmas before, um, and they're usually like about the same length as they regularly are, like an hour, 2 hours. So I just don't enjoy a lot of the like being like, oh, well, it's a holiday, so I won't do this. Um, oh, Monday was such an aggravating day. It started off with me sleeping. Supposed to come into this shift at 12 in the afternoon. So what my original plan was I would sleep until like let's say 9 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. And then I'd wake up and I do the stream. And right now it's like almost 9 o'clock. So it would be for maybe 2 hours. Because again, if I do it for 2 hours, it ends at 11. I have an hour to get to the place. And instead of that happening, I was called while I was still laying down about someone canceling and if I could come in at 9 instead of 12. And I was kicking myself for even answering the phone because I was just thinking about how that really botched the the plan I had. So again, I was going to stream on Monday because my shift started at or was supposed to start at 12. And only that morning while I was laying down did they tell me, oh, can you come in 3 hours early? So it was if anyone is upset I didn't show on Monday, get mad at them. I love the new stream title. Yeah, I was just thinking of something. I just came up with a quick thing, but a happy Thanksgiving to you as well, I suppose. Man, I can't even remember when these holidays are. Like they're just all whatever to me at this point. Like I'll just put it this way: when the few people you really love or care about die, and you are basically stuck in this status quo of never being able to have a either fulfilling romance or some new friendship with somebody. It just makes every preceding year feel less and less. Um, now I want to say interesting, but they're less meaningful because you have less people that mean something to you to actually celebrate them with. So I know it's a rather ominous take, but it's just I try to be truthful with regard to how I feel about these things. Yeah, because it's like this: the people you care about pass, and then you can't even actually make anything. I guess it's like this. Akatsuki merchant, let's say by the time you are 30, both of your parents have passed away. Maybe like a grandparent as well. But then at the same time, you've got a wife who you love and enjoy spending time with, and you have a child or some other people as well that are going to stick around because they're much younger. So even if you've lost some people, there are still others that don't necessarily take their place, but you still enjoy the company of. You still feel whole enough to actually embrace celebrating something with them. But when you're having people you care about die over and over again for like over a really short number of years. And you have these like this stuff with like, we talked about the chick stuff before, but that's why I said it's when that group is so antithetical in terms of their values and the types of things they want to actually see come from interacting with you, to where you just never get anywhere with any of them. And it's like no matter how many you talk to, it's the same result over and over. You just become isolated because the few people that you actually felt something with, you can't do it with or celebrate with anymore for the reasons we just mentioned. And you're not able to build anything anywhere close to that level of companionship as you had with those people in the past. So I hope that explains it. I mean, I remember for last Halloween, I used to have one person that would celebrate it by like getting a whole bunch of candy and just it really enjoyed it, right? And in his absence, I just can't get the what's a good way of saying it? I just can't get in the spirit of it. So I just got some candy corn from the store and ate some of that, and that was it. Just sat to myself thinking about him. Because that was his thing. That was something that really meant something to him. And again, when you don't have those people around to celebrate this stuff with, it just turns into just another day. Just it like I said, I go to places and I'll see some. It could be a couple. It could be some dad and his kid talking to each other, just having fun. I'm just always thinking about, man, it would be nice to experience that. But then you remember that your lot in this really garbage version of reality is to be blamed for every single thing that doesn't go your way, not going your way, because the most blamed man of all time. Well, like I said, there is a real purposeful attempt by people online because they can never empathize with men to pretend that any individual who has something dangling between his legs is like doing everything to get with the woman for some kind of erotic purpose. But then you could actually want to do something as wholesome as meeting someone you actually enjoy spending time with, um, creating a family. I mean, like we discussed this before, a lot of them you can't even get to have a phone call with you. Like there we talk about like the gold diggers, but there are a lot of chicks where the only thing you can ask of them is, "Can we do something together?" And they just can't be bothered. It doesn't even have to be going to eat somewhere or seeing a movie. It could be something as simple as sending you a message once a week or once a month. That's why I said, like, to know that you're always gonna have that same result, no matter how hard you try and compromise, and then you go out and you see people who actually were able to get something fulfilling out of it, like relationship, family, etc. It'll just drive you nuts. That's why I said I just hate the whole saga. Like people say, don't hate women, but I really hate what they have done as a collective group. It has not been rewarding, enjoyable, or in any way redeeming whatsoever. But like I said, when you talk about the nuances of this stuff, they tend to get blocked out by people who just want to paint a narrative, who want to spin their own version of reality. By the way, let me get on one of my rants. I hate working places where you have to wear a uniform. And the reason for that is because, from my experience, every time you go to one of these places, they always want you to buy something. So, for example, last year there was place I worked where they wanted me to get they gave me the shirt for it or whatever, but then they were like, "Oh, can you get these slip resistant shoes? Because if you fall, we can get sued, et cetera, et cetera." And I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, you go out and you get these shoes, and then they only have you come up there maybe like twice a week for about a month. Like you work 9 days in total, so you got these shoes for a little bit over a week's worth of days of work, like less than 2 weeks of actually being an employee there. Even if you were there for a month, you were on part time, and you're like, wow, you made me go out and buy this so I could barely even use them to begin with. Um, I don't know. I just hate places that make you have to like get something to work there. I don't like that because they just assume everybody has the money to go out and buy all this stuff, and it's really annoying. I think you know what I'm talking about. Just like having to go and get something, um, like having to spend your own money to just to work at some place that can get rid of you and like at any time it wants for any reason it wants. I said that before that the biggest problem with modern employers is that they do not value employees at all. Like they will throw you away. You can do everything they tell you to do, and they will still throw you away. I mean, look at what happened with that place from 2 weeks ago. When you have to make up nebulous crap like he doesn't have the speed we're looking for, that's already an indicator. Because like most places, I feel like most managers that are actually semi-competent and not pricks will say, "Look, I want you to do this a little bit faster. I want you." But this lady never said a word to me the entire time I was there. To where when I came home after that Friday when it happened and got that call from the agency, I was shocked. I was like, "What?" That's one of the reasons why I said it's like you never can get too comfortable at any of these jobs because every time you turn your back, it seems like they're trying to run a knife through you. And you might say I'm paranoid, but I just it's hard for me to really get invested in a lot of this stuff, knowing that these places don't care enough about you to keep you on for more than a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It's even more disturbing when you remember that apparently the period where someone is supposed to be on probation, like a company is figuring out whether they're going to hire them full time or not, is 3 months. So you don't even get half of that, which would be 6 weeks. These places, like that's why I said it's so crazy to me how thinking about May of last year and February of this year, they were remakes of each other. Or excuse me, February was a remake of May of last year, where you get some place that's begging and begging and begging for people to work for them. Then you start working there and they're giving you all these compliments. Oh, you're doing such a good job. Duh, 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 duh." And then after like 1 or 2 weeks, excuse me, after at least 2 weeks, they start telling you, oh, not, you know what? I keep forgetting the first one, the one for May of last year, it was 5 days. They make some kind of like weird threat where if you don't improve drastically in this short amount of time, they're going to get rid of you. And then you seemingly improve to some extent where they decide to keep you on for a few more days just for them to get rid of you anyway. So told you I'm not excited for a lot of this stupid stuff because they don't appreciate people that bend over backwards for their behinds. By the way, I don't know if you heard about that Colorado Springs shooting, but I was actually considering making a video about not even the shooting itself, but well, maybe the shooting, but also the dad for the shooter. He acted insane on during this interview they gave with him, where he was talking about, when I heard my son went when I heard my son went and shut up the gay nightclub, I thought, oh, is he gay? It's like, what kind of skewed priorities do you have to when you hear that your child has gone and killed 5 innocent people, and the first thing that crosses your mind is, "But they're not into the same gender as they are, right?" Oh, and then the interview ends with him, like, riding away on his skateboard, and I just fell off. That was one of the worst interviews for, like, a regular citizen, just a regular normal, not normal, but, like, a regular private citizen that we've never seen. But that was weird. So I might do a video on that. Again, I'm still not sure. If I do, I'm probably gonna put the video in the editor because I really do want to play that interview before speaking about it, just because of how weird it is. It can get pretty weird. They ask you about your son murdering a whole bunch of innocent people, and you're more worried about what he's into romantically than the fact, like, people have the most skewed priorities I've ever seen. And then the interview ends with him riding away on his little escape. I really did think for a second this must be a joke or something. Just the things he was saying, and just the way that it ended, it was weird. Oh man. No, I figured if we if we did something a little bit different, it probably would. But like I said, I don't expect people to show up every time I do one of these. I'm mindful of different schedules. But it's been a real interesting thing to just be able to go somewhere and work a full shift. Like, hey, you come at 9, you leave at 5. You come at 8, you leave at 4. And there is a part of me that really enjoys that because for so long we heard the same stupid narrative. He's lazy. He doesn't want to do nothing. And then when he goes and gets a position, suddenly all these people vanish and they're all really quiet because they know they're full of crap. But I said before, it's always something I'll remember because it goes back to this thing I said before, which is that when you're a man, almost no one ever, including members of your own family, extends the most basic levels of sympathy toward you. They don't say, hey, you know what? It's hard to get a job. And it's especially hard to get one that wants to keep you on and, has the patience to put up with someone that's never done this stuff before. You never heard that from any of them. Certainly out of this group that, kept saying all the nasty stuff. Um, which is why I said that I'll always remember who did what and who said what because, I don't do retcons. And if you're able to kick me while I'm down, I don't want you to try to shake my hand when I'm up. And I said before that, like, I've really thought about stuff, and for the life of me, I don't remember because I've met people that are unemployed, right? But I really truthfully don't remember ever, like, trying to make them feel bad about it or go, "Oh, you're this, you're that." Like, every time I see that type of disparaging commentary levied at someone, it's always by another person. It's usually, and a lot of times it's directed toward me. Um, like, I've seen homeless people before, and I don't accuse them of being lazy or anything like that. I just, there's a lot of, again, I recognize the nuances of it. I think there are circumstances that are out of our control sometimes, and When we get hit with an undesirable result, you have people who feel as if they can, if they can internally rationalize why this happened to you by saying that you did something wrong, they can feel better about that crappy result because then they can convince themselves, if I just don't do what this person did, I'll be safe. I'll be fine. I'll be better off. So yeah, that really drives me nuts because I just try to accept that there are people who have been given certain advantages that I have not had and certain disadvantages that I have not had. Um, some people have the advantage of, if you're a woman, for example, being able to have a partner whenever you like, being able to come online and show off your melons and have a bunch of men donate to you. Um, these are all things that I accept as being advantages they have over me. Um, these are all things that I don't really try to debate the merits of whether it's right or wrong. I'm mostly annoyed by the I don't know if you could hear that. That was a notification. But anyways, when you have people who have a disadvantage, for example, such as those I'll see on the street or something, I don't speak disparagingly of them. I don't go up and say, oh, the reason you are this way, or not to them, but like just to other people as well, is because you didn't want to do it. I don't know. There's something about assessing a person who is in some worse state than you are. Like when we were talking about the thing that with the baby, right? We're talking about someone who we know for a fact has a child because they chose to open their legs. They weren't made to. And they knew how not well off they were when they had it. Um, which is why it's very difficult for me to be empathetic toward that individual because they did this to themselves. But when you're talking about places that lay somebody off, or someone doesn't want to date you or whatever, these are things that are to some extent or another out of our control. It's just when you're a guy, who people want to hang from a cross like yours truly, you don't receive the same accommodations of reality of, hey, sometimes stuff goes the way you don't want it to, but you have to, like, press on forward or whatever. People just don't care. They're always looking for a scapegoat. And I said as well that when you do your part to have something happen, it's hard to feel bad when it doesn't go the way you want. As in, you may have wanted it to go that way, but you know that you did everything you were supposed to do. Um, for example, when I went to that interview with that stupid dog place, I was nice to the people that work there. I was nice to the dogs. I let them jump on me, and one of them even tried to hunt me, and I resisted that. But the point is, if I were to sit back here and talk to myself for 10 hours, I still wouldn't be able to figure out why I wasn't hired, as far as like what I could have done differently or what I did wrong. And the only conclusion I can draw, when I believe in my heart of hearts that I did everything I was supposed to do, is that they simply wanted somebody else more than myself. And that is something that's out of my control because I can't stop other people from applying to the same jobs as me, which is why I said before that there was a bakery position like 2 years ago. And I go into the interview and the manager is describing what kind of job it is and blah, 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 right? Um, and I said toward the end, because I was just nodding my head, just listening to it. But after he revealed that they had 40 people trying to apply for 4 positions, I just thought to myself, if I knew this, I would have never even bothered coming in to like do an interview because there's too many people seeking too little stuff. Um, and sure enough, if I knew how insane some of that woman stuff is, where you've got 10 guys talking to one woman or 30 guys talking to some woman, and a lot of these guys don't even live in the same country as her, but she's speaking to all of them anyway, as if she's ever going to travel over there to meet them. If I knew that it was that bad and how like tipped in favor everything is towards somebody with a triangle, I wouldn't have even bothered with that either. Because there's no point in me doing things that are geared against me. There's no point in me doing things where people are going to blame me if it doesn't turn out the way I want, which is very favorably not going to go the way I want based off of how many other people are trying to get the same thing or person. It's not worth it. But again, these places, they all know to some extent what kind of stew they're cooking. They all have some idea of the type of okey doke that they're playing, which is to sit around and make themselves look like they really need somebody. And then in no short amount of time, be like, well, it's really nice that you came in and you did this thing for us, but we're not interested. Sorry. Goodbye. Adios. Also, I might make a another edited video this in because I'm not working for tomorrow or for the weekend, so I might do one of those. You can't win in the game where the other player isn't playing by the same rules. No, and that's why when we were talking about how relationships are supposed to be, partnerships where they're equal to each other and compromises are made. You cannot tell me that you're going to have a relationship with a woman where she has to do nothing to get you interested in her, but you have to do everything to get her interested in you, and then expect that a union formed from that foundation is going to be equal. Because there's no way. There's no way. Like Akatsuki Merchant, think about this. Let's say I'm a company that owns, I don't even want to make this comparison, but like let me just give you an example of like foundations meaning something, right? Let's say I'm a company that every time I've had like 10 partners, right? Every time a partner, I want to end something with my partners, instead of just having an amicable divorce, I sue them for defamation, for breaking contract, and anything imaginable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But every partner I've had before you, I sue, and you, on the other hand, have had no partners, or maybe one who you ended things amicably with, um, and you have infinitely less um, net worth as my company does. Do you see how we can't be partners if I'm up here and you're down there? Look at this romance stuff. The woman is up here, right, with all these men that are trying to get at her, and she can be with a guy whenever she wants. And you, as the man, are all the way down there, trying to just scrape to get a little bit of breath by being with one of them, even in the shortest of terms, like going on a date. Like I said, I want somebody to explain to me, how can you have equality in a relationship with one of these pricks if the means to get there is based around the unfairness of it all? Just explain that to me. Told you, if you listen to these people online, they really want you to believe that you're just going to keep, you're just supposed to, if you're a guy, get rejected by chicks over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then suddenly there's going to be this magic woman who likes you and is so attracted to you and is so interested in you because of all these self-improvement things that you've done. And now you're going to live happily ever after. When we know for a fact, oftentimes that's the beginning of a whole new nightmare where you're wondering, oh, does she like me for who I am or for something I own? Because why is this one suddenly interested? Where the hell was she, years ago when I was, struggling for air? It's like they sell all this Disneyland fairy tale BS, and then they get mad at you for saying, "Hey, I don't believe it." Especially since we know for a fact that no matter what happens, so long as it goes in a way where you and the person stop being together or don't date, whatever, they're gonna blame you for it anyway. So remember we talked about the one idiot that said, "Oh, I believe you would prematurely cut off a woman," but then she wouldn't explain what she meant by prematurely. It's like, yeah, that's code for I am going to blame you for the results of your romantic life as long as they result in something that you deem to be undesirable or negative. I already told you I'm not about to sit here and talk to no woman for another 5 or 6 or 7 months. That whole thing is over. I said before, unless I have some kind of like deal with one of them, or we're like doing a project together, or some kind of like some kind of creative endeavor, I don't really talk to them that much anymore anyway, because there's no point. Hey, Akatsuki Merchant, I was just thinking about all that makeup that we were discussing before, and I was like, man, some of them slap that stuff on, and it's like you really are just thinking to yourself, is this real? How attractive is she without all this on? Like I said, lipstick is whatever, but when you got the stuff on your cheeks and the eye, what is it, the little the I don't know if you call it eyeliner, mascara, or whatever, and it just gets absurd. People on the internet really love seeing couples fight and hate each other. Oh yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right? A Costco merchant. It's not even just like a little bit of it. They have it scrubbed all over their face. Dude, I saw there was this one woman on Instagram I used to talk to like 6 or 7 years ago, right back when I was still even DMing any of those bastards. And she would post these pictures of herself, and I go, she looks nice, I guess. Whatever, attractive chicks are a dime a dozen, but still. And one day she made a video that was a makeup tutorial. Dude, I almost fell out of my chair. She like it it, the video is literally her putting on her face. I mean, she sprinkles all this stuff on her forehead, and then I think she did something with her nose too, and on her cheeks, and on her lips, and her eye. And I was like, "Who the hell?" God, because that was I'd never seen her without the makeup on. I was like, without it, she looks like a completely different person. And that's why I said that like people can get mad if they want. I don't care. I don't want to date a woman who wears a bunch of that stuff. I don't find it attractive because again, every time I see it, I always know in the back of my head that at some point, if you get some kind of thing going with this woman, she's gonna take that stuff off, and you're gonna be like, "Who the hell? Who is this?" I don't ever. I have no interest. I don't care what anybody says, dude. I was just thinking about because you know how they try to say this is how things have always been. I swear to you, both of my mother might wear maybe lipstick, and then with my one of my grandmas, it was the same thing, and that's pretty much it. Like I've never seen between my mother. my grandmas. Um, any of them like slap all this stuff, all you know what I'm talking about, right? Like again, lipstick is whatever because it's still the same face with something on the lips, and we already know it's not. Like I guess I put it like this: putting on a little bit of it is okay to me, like even if I'm not a fan of it, any of it in general. But some of them put on so much of it that you really do start to wonder what do they look like with it off because it's not again it's not just this one part of their face, it's the whole thing. When I saw that video of that lady on Instagram that used to talk to on Instagram, showing like her tutorial on how to put it on and off, she looked like a completely different person with it off. Like I didn't even recognize her. It would be the equivalent of like someone ripping their own face off. So that's why I said I don't like that stuff. People can get mad if they want. I do not care. Because like I said, you're not going to sit here talk about you lack confidence. You don't believe in you. You're gonna try to tell me about all these confident chicks that have to hide their face behind a quarter pounder of, of makeup. How does that work? The person who doesn't wear any of that stuff has no confidence, but the chicks that wear a whole bunch of it to where it covers their whole face have it on. Are gonna be built different in 2022. What do you mean are gonna? The year's almost over. You mean 23? I mean, if we're gonna start doing the thing where every single modern one of them wears this stuff, I know that's not true because I've spoken to plenty of them that don't wear that crap. Dude, that's literally the like reverse version of what they do, and they're like, all these men just want to be with the woman so they can uh have intercourse. Like, are you you think somebody gonna sit here and talk to you for 8 months to bang you when they can go do that in Vegas in a week? No, but they get a costume merch, they get like a little stereotype and they just run with it. It's really sad. We can't have a nuanced discussion anymore about anything. It's just a bunch of accusations and oh, they're all. I tell you, there was an idiot that did a video where he was mad that one of his like former friends did an interview with this radio host, and in the video, which is that it was in the basement of some store that him and his friends owned. You can see roaches crawling behind them on the wall. And when people were making fun of him, he responded by saying, "Everybody has roaches." And then there was this one person I spoke to, this one woman, um, and somebody was saying something about like, "Why do you wear a weave?" And then her response was, "Everybody wears weave." So anytime someone does something that you don't agree with, they try to tell you everybody else does it. That's the new go-to line. You don't like that I do this way everybody else does. You ever tried to get oh, don't start with that crap. Hey, they want to turn the woman stuff into like Pokemon or something. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Doom, 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 these creepy chicks to understand the power that's inside my pants. Dumb bimbos. I'm surprised like all the ones that do that passport stuff don't just have like a giant globe in their room, just like Okay, if it didn't work in the US, go to Canada. And if it didn't work in matter of fact, let me get that thing. Sorry it took so long. Now, Akatsuki merchant, do me a favor. We're gonna pick a country and we're gonna just travel over there, and there's gonna be all these amazing women. Because chicks in the US are the only ones that reject men and do all this time wasting stuff. They don't do it anywhere else. Well, let me put the US in the front. Yep, there you go. So we're gonna start from here, and then we're gonna travel around the world with this these with all these passports. They're just gonna make women so interested in us and come back. Damn, this is a good globe, man. I've had this for a long time. Oh man, it's so sad we can't have a conversation about anything anymore. It just evolves into people bringing up random stuff. Like, what the hell does a passport have to do with with getting somebody to respond to a DM? You can get a woman like it isn't nothing. Yeah. And you said becoming a passport. So do you like transform into it? You go roll out Digivolve to passport. Man, this is some comedy. That's hilarious. I mean, I don't even know what's wrong with people anymore. So Akatsuki merchant, are you on your way to get your passport right now? Well, if you can go to a certain part of the US and pay a price to get laid, and it seems to be easier to travel across your own country than to go to another one. If their only goal is to get laid, it really shouldn't be that hard. Literally, none of the commentary here has anything to do with screwing. I mean, like we're talking about actually having fulfilling relationships with people. So you're barking up a tree that we're not even on anywhere near. Hey, dude, glad I caught this stream. Was a pleasant surprise. You streaming on this day, which you usually don't, so that's cool. Also, Dingbats got to catch them all. No, I was gonna stream on Monday. Oh man, the customers, my grandpa used to love that song. But I was gonna stream on Monday. I was supposed to come in at 12, and then at 7 something I was sleeping, and they called me to work. Can you come 3 hours early? So they botched my stream. So since I don't have to work today, I'm doing it today instead. Dude, it's like why do you have to travel around the globe? I'm telling you, they need to just turn this crap into a Pokemon spinoff. Like, why do you have to go around the globe just to get a date? Oh, I'm sorry to get laid because you definitely can't do that in the U.S. There's nowhere you can go where you can pay a price and have somebody sleep with you. There's nowhere on in America where that takes place. Nowhere with casinos. Dude, seriously, if all I wanted to do was get laid, this would have been over a long time ago. You make a visit to Vegas every month. Hey, there you go. Mission accomplished. And it's like if you think it's so hard to get laid over here, you really like whatever. I'm not even gonna debate this. This is so irrelevant to what we usually speak about. This guy clearly is missing the point. Oh, they always do that. They like half listen. Or not at all, because he didn't even address anything I was saying at like up to that point. We were talking about how me and Akatsuki Merchant personally don't really find chicks that wear makeup to be that attractive. Because there's so much of it and you don't even know what they actually look like. And he responded to that for like one message and then brought up passports and there will be these magic chicks sitting around missing out on life. That's the point. Well, what if it's not my ambition in life to travel to other countries? Why does every person have to have the same goal? Missing out on life by not going around the globe and going to all these foreign regions that you had no desire to go to other than to screw somebody, which you can do in the U.S. anyway for a price. But I guess if I'm missing out on life, you're missing out on my point, huh? We're all missing out on something. This him, he's like, I gotta go over here. Oh, it didn't work in this country. Gotta go to that one. And you're lucky I don't have something to like have this stand on. Otherwise, we'd be laughing even more at you. I agree. It always creeped me out whenever a chick had an absurd amount of makeup because I think about what is behind the makeup slash mask. And I was even explaining earlier, it's not even just about like, for example, my mother or my grandma would wear like lipstick. Some of them wear like powder that they put on their cheeks and on their forehead, and they have the stuff that they put on the eyelashes. And I'm like, who the hell is this? Like and I was even explaining to Akatsuki Merchant earlier. There was a woman I used to talk to like 6, 7 years ago on Instagram. And one day she posted a YouTube video where she was showing off her without her like doing a makeup tutorial. And it was the first time I'd ever seen her with all that stuff on, and she looked like a totally different person. Same hairstyle, I guess, but it's like, what the hey, Megumi, but if the woman is from another country, her sticking all that crap on her face is all right. You better like her, or else you're missing out on life. I told you, man. This all of this woman stuff is a bunch of guys trying to impose their views on other men and then getting butthurt when they don't agree with them. Dude, I remember there was one guy who came on this video from a couple years ago. He's like, uh, fine, don't listen to me. You are screwed if you don't. It's like, dude, you act like you're this amazing champion that is getting like bent over backwards with chicks. Like, dude, you wouldn't even be watching this stuff if you were so great with them. When you see them in the morning without their makeup, they look absolutely hideous most of the time. And I sometimes think to myself, are they really uncomfortable about their appearance? I think so, because some of them will wear that stuff every single day, to where you would be forgiven if you believed that they just wake up like that. Because some people will get like they call themselves getting dressed up for some special occasion, like their wedding or a funeral or some other big event. But some of them every single damn day wear a full set of makeup all over their face, on their cheeks, on their nose, on their lips, on their eyes, forehead. So I think they are uncomfortable with there, because why else would you wear that every damn day? And even if some of them, for example, like only wear it, let's say like post stuff on the internet, it's like you want most people to see you, because you're going to get more people that see your picture online than theoretically like in real life. You know what I'm talking about, like the whole viral stuff on the internet. You want most people to only see you with all this stuff over your face. So I don't know. It's just I think they really are uncomfortable with their appearance, just based off of that. The only thing I don't like is that little noise it makes. But I guess it makes sense because they're not meant to be turned this often. That's what I was thinking. It's really bizarre just how frequently they apply makeup on themselves. I told you some of them use it only a little bit, like a couple days out of the year for some special occasion, but there are some that come fully caked up in that stuff every time they either go to work or they go somewhere that is a professional setting. Like they just can't. You will never see them without that stuff. I think you would have a Thailand chick in American women. She'll do anything you want. I mean, do I have to spell out that I'm not interested any further, or is it not yet obvious? And there are, of course, some chicks who don't or use it only for special occasions, which I understand. But excessive makeup, it's a huge turnoff if you ask me. Dude, you don't even like that's what I'm saying. Because I explained the lipstick thing is just this part. The rest of it is all over. Like you really don't even know what they look like. Put that down there before somebody comes in and I have to explain why they keep hearing that noise. Oh man. Yeah, we were having a discussion on makeup, and all of a sudden he comes here talking about transforming into a passport like a Digimon. I don't know. I don't like that stuff. And it's really hypocritical, for like people to tell you that you believe, oh, they're like Transformers, they need to transform morph into something out of a fairy tale. You probably can't see it. Um, but earlier on he wrote, what did he write? Let me look. He wrote um becoming a passport you can get a woman like it isn't nothing. So they really believe they just if they just do this one thing, there's gonna be this magic difference. Remember the Instafix? I'm glad you brought up Transformers. There was this one, I'll never forget this one channel where somebody came in the comment section, like, when people like try to promote their own crap. And the person that Transformers channel is like, you have a Transformers channel? Well, then you need to transform your channel because nobody cares about the Transformers anymore. And every time I think of that line, I'm just imagining, like, as he says that, the channel is morphed into some other topic. Like it does that noise. You have a Transformers channel? Well, then you need to transform your channel. I mean, I already told you these chicks were Decepticons, but whatever. Where they act all nice to you and they're asking you how you're doing and talking about how they feel this connection with you and you need to spend some more time with them and we really enjoy each other's company, etc., etc. And then after a couple of weeks, a month, well, I don't think I like you, or I don't like you that way, and I am already with this other person, so maybe we could just be, all that crap. Dude, that would be the funniest movie ever if like there's some there's like a real life artist, like a person who's from like heaven or something, and they're trying to give out warning signs. So with all of these, because we already said before, like not all chicks do this stupid stuff, otherwise nobody would be getting a date. But it would be hilarious if there's like some guy that wants to talk to some women and he goes to the mall or to like the market or somewhere, and all the chicks have some Decepticon like logo on them somewhere, like whether it's a tattoo or, and it's always to indicate that they're eventually going to reveal them their true form to him if he talks to them long enough. So many of them do that nonsense, the ultimate transformation that loses its surprise factor, so it's no longer a plot twist. Well, yeah, when you keep doing the same plot twist over and over, it stops meaning anything. I mean, you do your first movie and the love interest is, kind of ignoring the guy, but she still seems interested in him to some extent. Then at the end of the movie, she announces that she's not interested in him and, they want to be friends, whatever. Oh my God, I didn't see that coming because first time it's ever happened, right? Hollywood usually doesn't deal with like rejection with these love stories. If you ever notice, like most of these films seem to just have a character who has a love interest. They never really have a person that's like, you like them, but they don't like you back. And then when you get to your second movie, the same thing happens again. The love interest turns out to only want to be friends. Then when you get to your third one, the same thing happens again. The love interest turns out to just want to be friends. So it stops being a surprise because it keeps being repeated over and over. And what's even more disturbing is that since it's happened so many times back to back, you just kind of expect it now. You're more shocked if it doesn't happen. Just like when that gold digger first showed up and she was talking all that sweet stuff. Oh, I feel like we have a connection. How are you? All the the nice crap, and then was like, hey, Do you want to go out? I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. But then when she started begging for money, I said, "Oh, so this is a variant of that same that same pattern." There is no more surprise. Remember we talked about if you still go out and ask out chicks and are surprised when you get turned down by them for the eighth year in a row, it's a self parody. Now, if you still go out and approach me, you're like, "Oh, it's probably not going to go anywhere, but whatever. I'm just going to try because they tell me to." Well, you're aware of what's happening. But if you're really shocked when you get the same result over and over again, self parody. But yeah, I was supposed to stream on Monday and it got botched because they told me to come in 3 hours early. I was laying there sleeping. Well, I wasn't asleep. I was just laying down, just getting some rest before the stream was supposed to take place. Because that stream would have been at like 9 o'clock, and then I would have probably ended it around maybe like 10:30, hour and a half, hour 40. Because then I would still have had like at least a solid 40 something minutes to just like lay down and recharge my battery, so to speak. I don't know. The problem with streaming is that if I do it on a day where I work, if like before I go there, I feel tired going in, and if I do it before or after, I feel tired anyway. So it's really tough. No, there is no more surprise factor. You can take these chicks. One of these days, we should just do a thing. It'll be called because they call it this. They have this thing called the Sonic Cycle, where it's like new game comes out, people complain about to make another one. New people complain like that little thing. We should make something called the romance cycle or the romantic rejection cycle, and it's like you go on some website or in person to meet some woman. She gives you some way of contacting her, whatever. You start speaking to her. She gasses you up, tells you how much you mean to her. Then, after several weeks or months of this repeating itself, she either stops responding as frequently or no longer says such complimentary things. And then you reveal you're interested in her. She says she's not interested or that she's with somebody already, et cetera, et cetera. Then the whole cycle repeats itself. That's one of the reasons why I don't even like asking any of them out. And that's why I haven't done it in 2 years because I hate the idea that when you ask one of them out, you basically have to destroy everything you have with that person because it's going to make all of your interactions afterward awkward because now they're aware that you're attracted to them in a romantic sense and they don't want that, so they're going to have to you get where it's like it makes all of it like awkward. So yeah, I don't think I'll be making any more first moves for the rest of my duration. It just always seems to end badly. Seriously, every time you tell one of these pricks that you like them and they don't like you back, it destroys everything. That person will stop responding to you. They'll start so you don't like to get forced. Forced by who? Nobody can force any adult that they're not holding a gun to the head of to date anybody. I feel more pressure to get a passport than to go on an actual date, courtesy of whatever this name is, roll out something. Hey, that's why he was saying the passport thing. Uh Men, get your passport, transform and roll out. Then they all get in their little plane and fly around the world. He should be what's the Megatron one from animated transform and rise up. They all fly up in the sky seeking out broads. All right, tell you my favorite videos are where the guys are like, "What can you do for a woman besides uh the prospect of?" It's like, what can they do for you? I appreciate it, Megumi. If I was complaining about women in the States, I'll get a passport right now. Well, sir, I've spoken to plenty of chicks that live in other countries, and it's the same stupid thing. No, I really do. I really appreciate it, Megumi. It's just really annoying that these people don't seem to understand something. So, you know that you don't actually have to travel to another country to talk to people that live there. I have had multiple bad experiences with women that live in other regions. If you want some specific examples, I can provide them. One of the most notorious examples was when we had the woman from Australia who agreed to marry me, and that because and I asked her to because of her religion, barring her from dating. Just to only a few days later renege after getting into an argument with her mother. I had a woman from what country was that? Argentina, who sat in the Discord call with me in what was that last year, October of last year, September, the end of around like late last year, had a very explicit conversation with me, which is still publicly available. If you don't believe me, you can go look the video up. Just to start talking about you're not my type when she saw my picture and trying to like back out of it. You know, it's all just scummy stuff, and it's all indicative of just behaviors that chicks have, no matter what region they're in. Dude, we really should make a map where we just show all the countries these chicks. If you want a real plot twist, the one that the one that we all call Triple L, she wasn't born in America, and the same stupid thing we got, so she might as well have been. From what I understand, she was born in. I'm not gonna say what country it was because I don't. It doesn't matter, but um, she was born over there, and I guess came to the states when she was a kid or something. I don't know. Maybe it was. I'd have to go back and look at all the stuff. But no, none of my complaints are just levied toward American women. It's all the ones I've spoken to, and thanks to the lovely internet, they've been all over the world. So the only way you're going to see me start approaching chicks regularly again is if um, we see something that indicates they're not doing the same stupid stuff. Which, if anything, it just seems like they're getting worse and worse. Thanks to some of their new ridiculous tactics, or I start asking out chicks in space or something. You go to Mars and Neptune and Saturn. It's like she may have 3 arms, but she's a lot nicer than the ones back at home. This problem extends to chicks worldwide. It doesn't matter what region or country they are from. Dude, I'm telling you, I had no ambition to like because I never believed in that idea of it's only American or Western women. It's like I I just spoke to them, depending wherever they were from, was it didn't matter to me. And then you get the same thing. And I told you, some of the stuff those foreign ones have done are even worse than what American ones have done. There was a broad from damn, you know what? I can go in my email and look it up. But you might remember this, Megumi. There was a chick about 3 or 4 years ago asked me all this personal stuff, talking about she was in the BDSM, and then you answer all her questions, and it's a couple of days later, she's like, "I don't think this will work. Goodbye forever." It's like, what was the point of that? And she definitely wasn't from the U.S. Matter of fact, let me look up in my email where she was from, so we can put this to rest. Turn my brightness on my phone. I can't even see anything. I'm trying to conserve my power for all these tasks I have today. I still remember her stupid name too, so it'll be even easier to figure out where it is. Dude, that was one of the last instances where I was really believing that this woman's stuff would actually be different. Oh, Scotland. Scotland, that's where she was from. I just looked at the email. I typed her name in, it came up instantly. Dude, she had the same arc as the Dear John letter writer, where it's some woman who I first find out about because they come on my channel, trying to act nice, whatever. And then you try to pursue something with them outside of being in your comment section, and they act like they're so interested in you at first, or that they want to do something with you. Then there's some reversal, or it's just you get sick of it after a while because it's literally the same thing. Dude, you should have seen my face when I woke up that morning and I saw that mess from her talking about, I don't think this will work. I'm glad that I didn't do anything. Man, I wanted to spit on the screen. I was like, I sat here and wrote all this stuff to this stupid prick, and she's gonna sit here talk about, I don't think this, like, you didn't even try. It's like, how the hell are you gonna call me negative for not wanting to go out and approach a million chicks, but then the one that you answer all these questions for and show how interested you are in actually trying something with her, gonna tell you that, oh, I don't think, before she even does anything. So, like, again, she based her position that this wouldn't work off of nothing. And it didn't matter to her because the only person that was screwed by it, thanks to the very lovely circumstance of being a male in a feminist era where chicks get approached by 1,000 guys and men get nothing, was me. But don't hate women. Just get your passport, and suddenly they'll all be loving you. It's like, get out of my face. Put that thing back up. Exactly. Your disdain has no bearing on her, so no skin off her nose. She won't be losing any sleep whatsoever on. No, because she can just jump to the next cock. It's like, oh, I don't want his banana anymore. Time to go on to another one. I'm telling you, her and the Dear John letter writer are the same. Like, it's a remake of the other. Like, it's a woman who comes on my channel, never seen them before. They start writing all this mushy stuff. How they like me, da 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 da. They have some kind of like thing relating to their sexuality that I don't find appealing, but I accept nonetheless. Because she was in the BDSM and the Dear John letter writer was bi. And then they ask you all these personal questions. Although she had way more personal stuff to ask than the other one. The other one just assumed stuff. Um, and then after you speak to them for weeks or months, it goes nowhere. So I just that's why I said I'm just tired of it. Tired of remakes. Tired of chicks appearing out of nowhere and pretend like they're interested, and then they change direction just cause seemingly. I just don't have the patience for that stuff anymore. I still just sometimes just like, wow, like, you met a man that you claimed you thought was attractive, who was willing to be involved with you in a way that, I mean, I'm not into BDSM, but it's like whatever, you take what you can get at this point. And you just she Man, that's why I said every time I just sit back and think about all the different awful and seemingly close calls with chicks, it makes me never want to speak to any of them again in any capacity. Like, I don't want to be friends with them. I don't want to just nothing. Like, just if you're doing some kind of project or work related thing, that's one thing. But as far as personally associating with any of them outside of some professional situation, I have no desire because I'm tired of it. It's really obnoxious. And if I did this stuff to people, they would be upset at me for doing it. So If you want to talk to chicks until you're blue in the face, you can have them. So I'm not interested. Too much time wasting and build up for nothing, and plot twist and red herring, and I'm sick of it. I still have those pictures of her that she sent me where my friend was saying that that she looks so creepy. I mean, I was fine with the images. Like one of them had some kind of weird thing with her eyes, but you know, what I mean, like I'm not picky about appearance, but whatever. I don't care where she is as long as she's away from me after wasting my time. Like I don't really sit around thinking about them or trying to figure out what they're up to after they do stupid stuff like that. I think I'm playing like out of that whole group of them. The only time I'll see something new with one of them is if I see one of them in person in real life, which has actually only happened once. Other than that, I don't look up stuff with any of them because once they do their little stupid garbage, I'm good. Oh, don't need to be reminded of their BS. I already said when you get turned down by so many of them, none of them really stand out anymore. Like they just all kind of start merging into the same type of derivative void. So there's really no desire to even hyper focus on any in particular. I mean, I've never used that stupid site, so I guess. It's so crazy how like the same year that I just said, all right, this woman stuff is going nowhere. That was really in retrospect the last hurrah for the amounts of insanity I was willing to put up with to try and like get some. In some cases, there are some who'd continue trying to force correspondence with you even when they've rejected your romantic proposals. Yeah, I told you the one that agreed to a marriage but then backed away from it. She tried to get me to talk to her after that. And for like 3 months I did, and I was like, wait, this is going nowhere. Even if you try to cut them off, they actively try to contact you. It's so weird. It's very weird because it's like this. They believe if you are male, you remember how everybody talks about like you're not owed anything by women. They think they're owed something by you. They think that you are their property. That's why everybody tells you you have to do this for a woman, you have to do that for a woman, but then you never get told what they have to do for you because you are subservient to them. And if you exercise your right as a human being to say, you know what, you're not giving me what I want, I'm done with you. Enough of this. I'm leaving. Suddenly it dawns on them that hey, this person feels dissatisfied with me, and I really still want to speak to them for whatever reason, so let me try and get them to say, like it was the same thing with the one from Australia. I got 3 messages from her on like 2 different websites in less than a day. It was like one on YouTube, then another one on, I think it was Google Hangouts, and another one on Skype. I was like, she is really losing her marbles here. Because if I have some woman who doesn't respond to me on one website, I'm not going to send her a message on another one the same day. Thinking, oh, maybe they just haven't logged into this account because nothing I'm saying to them is so urgent that they need to respond to me immediately. Dude, it's so weird to have like the person who says, I don't want to go on a date. Like you always think it's the one that gets turned down who starts doing the creepy, obsessive stuff. But some of these chicks, they start getting weird. No, they really want to contact you. They're like, "Hey, how are you?" I'll tell you my favorite story of like somebody going on a date, like of all the people I know personally, was this one guy I used to go to high school with, and he had a there was some girl that wanted to go, and I guess they were gonna date at a it was like a diner, right? And he pulled out his wallet and she said, "Oh my god, it's so raggedy." Which I mean, if it's been in his pocket for years, it's probably not gonna look like it's mint condition. And he was so upset by this that he went up to the front of the place. He told her he'd be right back. He went to the front of the place, paid for his stuff, his food, this stuff he was getting for himself, ate it, went to use the bathroom, like went in the bathroom, right? Called an Uber driver and had them pull up in the back of the place. Then he like I guess jumped or lunged out of the window to leave. So she had to pay for her. And then it must have been about a week or so later. He was I guess like doing whatever at his house, and then she sent a message. She's like, just checking to see what you're doing. And I remember one of my relatives that like they were like, oh, you should not do what that person did because it will make you unattractive to. I was like, well, I mean, she still tried to message him after he did that, and he was like, well, I don't know, some chicks just like the abuse. I'm like, dude, she insulted him when he was treating her, doing her a favor, and you expect him to sit there and take that? So I thought that was hilarious. I always remember that story. Him having the driver pull up to the back to the bathroom's window and him jumping. Leroy Megumi said, and they most likely have plenty of guys or people to talk to anyway, so it's just even more weird when they obsess trying to speak to you. What makes you so special? Remember, we talked about that before. Like a lot of these chicks have boyfriends, which they always conveniently leave out for a while when you talk to them. And it's like, well, if the and according to the narrative of these guys, you're not able to get a woman because oh my god, you're so imperfect and you have all these flaws and errors and issues and da da da. But if that's true, why do they try to speak to you over the guy that they're with? Wouldn't he be serviceable as a conversationalist instead of some man that's so awful he can't get like? It's what I say. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Dude, the only thing that makes you special is you're one of the few that says, "Hey, enough of this. I'm done." They even I'm telling you, like, if you really sit there and think about it, how many times do chicks actually have people like guys, right? Tell them like, "No, I'm done with you." Like, how many of them when they don't speak to a man anymore, it's because they wanted to, as far as like you almost and I don't claim to know these people inside and out, but you almost get this idea that some of them have really never been told by a guy, "I'm not doing this. Forget that." So it's like when they first hear it, it's like, "What? What? Hey, come back. What do you mean you don't want to talk to me?" That's my theory. I think it's a credible one too when you consider that a lot of these men we said before they bend over backwards for chicks. So if you even do something microaggressive like, "Hey, I'm not talking to you anymore. You keep wasting my time." Huh? What? So that's the position I have. I think some of them really have never been um if they have been like like told by some guy or by someone they don't want to talk to me where it's like another woman that they were friends with, the mean girl stuff. But if they've probably either never or rarely, if ever, been told by a guy like, "Yeah, I'm not, I'm done with you, tired of this." I do that with chicks all the time. I have a whole bunch of chicks I will speak to on Discord. I unfriend them. you know, get rid of them after a while because it's like this is going nowhere. And again, a lot of it isn't even romantic. Like a lot of them will just stop responding to you, and you'll see them like online over and over, and they just can't say anything back, and you're like, what the hell is this? Yes, it's true. They become too accustomed to having many guys just speaking to them or bending over backwards for their attention. Yeah, and I'm not doing that. Like I said, the only good thing that came out of that rejection stuff is that now I really don't care what happens with any. Like I would prefer if you have like a meaningful interaction, one of them, you enjoy being together and whatever. But like the reality of this is a group of people who can get rid of you anytime they want, and you have to just accept that this is how this stuff goes. But you also should have um some balls and say, hey, I'm not doing this. Some kind of like assertiveness. I do that. I'm like I tell them you're doing this thing I don't like. If they want to try to like meet me halfway, compromise, I'm good. It's a shock when they come across a guy who doesn't stand for it. Just like when I confronted Triple L, she over here talking about I consider you a friend. I was like, I sure wasn't treated like one when you went to what was that, Oregon or whatever state that was. Like you gonna talk about somebody's your friend, and then for a whole month you don't say a word to them. Talking about your big, get out of my face. The only way you would see me not speak to somebody who is my supposed friend for like a whole month is if every time I send them a message, they never respond. Because eventually I'm just gonna say, all right, forget it. But even then, it's like it never occurred because that was a social experiment with me. I was just like, all right, let's see how long it takes for her to say something. 1 week passes, 2 week passes, 3 weeks pass, 4 weeks. It's like, wow. Talking about people were at her home and she didn't want them to hear her. It's like, then go outside. Like I have people here all the time. I have like 3 or 4 people here right now, 4 or 5. And I still like if I had something that needed to be said that was very private to one person, because I'm not gonna take my computer outside because then the internet, whatever the issues. But it's like if I had someone I'm trying to speak to and I really want to talk to them, I go outside, I go for a walk. Go down the street. Even you walk so far away from that place, even a dog with their 5 times human hearing wouldn't be able to hear it. Oh, it's a real shock when they come across a guy who doesn't stand for it. Because some of them have been coddled and just they have all these defense forces. They're like, he said no to me. Yep. He declined to speak to me as friends after I told him I would bend him over until this guy I got with turned me on so much that I reversed course. Wow. I'm not even joking. There's been so much like dumb stuff with chicks. I really do forget some of it sometimes. Like I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, that happened. Like when he brought up the thing about you're complaining about women in the States and whatever. It's like I really did forget for a second about the one from Scotland that sat there asking me all those personal questions just for it to go nowhere. I was like, wow, there's so many of them that you really do forget. Even because I consider that to be one of the more important encounters because that was like toward the end of me like really believing there was still a chance. And I did divulge stuff to her that I normally don't divulge to chicks I meet on the computer or in real life even. And it was like I was so invested in having this happen for nothing. Just for nothing to happen, complete another waste of time. Yeah, and that's why I said when men online come and they tell you, "Oh, do this. Hey, you should listen to me. Wear this, whatever." They try to pretend that they care about you, but they actually don't. They care about chicks, which is why every time something bad happens to you with women, they say it was your fault. They don't want to see you succeed. They want to keep raising the goalposts of stuff for you to do And if you are not able to get with one after that, they're going to just say you did something else that was wrong because this is it. It's all about making men miserable. None of this is in service of you or in favor of you. Um, which is why I said don't ever believe some guy on the computer hiding behind a picture of a football player or somebody else's image that they stole. When they come and try to tell you that they care or are invested in you or are concerned about they don't, because nobody that cares about you is going to have such blatant tunnel vision as to always make it your fault when something bad happens to you. It's all about attention. That's all they care. Oh yeah. Don't believe this. Their scam. Don't let them tell you that they're so concerned with whether you do well or succeed. Because remember, you go up to somebody in real life. Yeah, it should be for self preservation. I mean, Megumi, do you think if you went on Twitch or any of these other websites and you said, "Hey, I'm a guy who I've had some problems with getting a job. Can you guys maybe lend me $1 each or something?" Nobody's gonna come and help you with that. And even stuff that's like for example, some you could easily have a guy that's got like let's say 1 million subs. Be like, oh, there's this person on YouTube that wants to try and like get paid for their content. Oh, you know what? 1,000 people go subscribe to that person right now. But you're not going to see them give you that endorsement or try to lift you up and make it to where even if people don't want to donate themselves, they can donate by making your channel monetized and watching the ads because people don't care about others. If some doesn't affect them, they couldn't give they couldn't give any less of a crap about what happens to you. So you should be for self-preservation. Like all this woman stuff, it's cool. Oh yeah, it'd be nice to be with a chick, but when you think about the amounts of money that these guys want you to spend to go and travel around to maybe go on a date with one, it's not worth it. And that's not even talking about like the other issues that come with them, like the STDs and the rest of that garbage. So you have to really just take care of yourself. Remember, we said this before. You can't even expect members of your own damn family to try and help you. Everybody always says, "Oh, family comes first," and family is maybe like in truth 3, 2, 4, 5 people. So yeah, everything you do should be in the service of self preservation. Again, the stuff you do for entertainment is whatever, but like when all these guys come in and talking about do this for this one, to hell with them. Because if you didn't do that stuff for that woman, she can find 30 other guys that'll try to do the same thing for her. You're an I word. You can use whatever stupid term you want to use. I am just someone who believes that we only have one shot at living, and you shouldn't have to do things that you don't enjoy just to make ends meet. That's my stance. So you can get mad if you want. I don't even care. Exactly. That's why these accommodations resonate with me. It's just so crazy that like people on the computer have really tried to make it sound as if you are like by telling guys that they should be concerned with themselves. If they can't get a woman, hey, there's some factors that go into that that are not in your control, but you should still go out and do things you enjoy because you like them or whatever. It's interesting to me how like they can spin that into being a bad thing. Like a guy saying, you know what, this group never did it for me. They never were attracted back, but that's like whatever. I'm gonna go and do my own thing and just try to do stuff I enjoy in the interim. Uh, they were able to spin that into being a bad thing. So when you go online, it's the Twilight Zone. Even though these are the same pricks that will tell you to focus on yourself. So when you want to get with the woman, you should focus on yourself. But when you are like, all right, I'm done with them, I'm tired of this. Oh, don't focus on yourself. You must be entirely devoted to this random group of whatever. It's oh, they speak out of both sides of their mouth. They don't even care. They just create whatever rationale they like. But yeah, Koski Merchant, don't ever believe people online that care about you. My thing is that people on the internet feel the need to be vicious and mean to complete strangers. Well, that's what drives me crazy that they're so nasty and antagonistic, but then they're the ones getting their panties in the bunch because a guy is saying he doesn't want to talk to chicks. Like you gonna tell somebody else to man up, but then you're over here cursing and hoping that he passes away from unnatural circumstances because he doesn't want to talk to some random girl. Like it's weird. It's weird. Just there's no explanation. Just a bunch of bizarre stuff. And remember, even the ones that aren't vicious, they're hypocrites. Because remember, all the times that I was getting called racial slurs on my like on the channel, right? And none of those guys who were talking about how you need to be respectful of chicks or women, whatever, none of them ever said, hey, you know what? I don't agree with the stuff he says about women, but you guys shouldn't be calling them, this word, that word. They never said that, not a single one of them, because they're hypocrites. They don't care about anyone that doesn't have a triangle between their legs. And they're just a group of people who can't pick a narrative. That's why I said don't listen to anyone on here when they start singing all that I love you stuff, because it's even people in real life, like your relatives, like how many of them call you or ask you how you're doing or offer to get you something to eat? Probably none of them, except for like what, four, five, six, some single digit number that usually isn't even halfway to 10. Like when you really think about how few people actually give any much of a damn about you in this world, it's really sad. And you'll have a lot of them who will say that they do. I've had so many different chicks. Oh, I care about you and I hope you're all right. But then what is she doing a week later? Ignoring your messages, acting like you don't exist. And remember, all they do when they supposedly care is just run their mouths. I had a broad. I asked her, "Can you watch my video? Because I want you to like see this is really important to me." Video is like 4 minutes long. She didn't watch it. So it's like if you ask them for any tangible action, even something that's completely free, they still can't do it. But they care about you. Yeah. Well, if that's care, I'd hate to see a complete lack of concern. My thing is that people on the okay, well, I read that already. It's just a really sad cycle. That's all I can say. I really hope that people can learn to, actually treat others like you, and just like just stop the fake stuff. Like, stop sitting here and acting like chicks are all perfect. Stop sitting here and acting like every time you can't get one of them, it's always your fault and you must have done it. Like, who? Nobody is helped by this, and I've never believed any of that stuff. At least while I've been a content creator, I think I mentioned before, like I used to think of the oh, woe is me, I'm doing so much wrong. But then I saw all the other guys, like, nah, never mind. Like I had some guy tell me no one wants to be my friend simply because I didn't like an anime he liked. Oh, they love doing that. They take things to the extreme. There's a whole bunch of people that I talk to who don't like the news, who don't follow it like I do. So you're not. I mean, variety is a spice of life. If you and look, there's some stuff that, like me, for example, there are some movies I really, really like, and when there are some content creators who trash multiple movies I really, really like, I tend to not want to watch them. Um, but again, that's me simply exercising my right as a viewer to say, okay, this person has opinions that I don't agree with, so I'm just not going to watch them anymore. Versus, oh, this is someone who I call myself friends with, and they didn't like something I like, so now I'm going to not speak to them anymore. It's two different things. But I'm saying that like there are certain people that you don't want to hear the opinions of because you know they're going to be annoying to you. Yeah, I just hate the fake and fluff and flaky stuff. I'm telling you, everything based around chicks is fake. Like if you self-improve, they posit it as if you are going to become equal to women. Like you're going to see a bunch of women asking you out and have 30 of them from different countries all trying to send you a DM on this. But none of that's ever going to happen. Because what do we know about chicks? In general, they do not approach men, including the ones they find attractive. They act like if you get muscles and become this um I don't know, sex symbol, you're gonna have all of these women sending you money on OnlyFans and trying to send you something on GoFundMe and Twitch. And it's like that wouldn't happen either because chicks usually make up a smaller percentage of viewers on these various viewers and users on these various websites than men do. So that's why I said all of this is posited as if you do this stuff, you will be equal to them, but you never will be. Talking about go to the gym. It's like some woman that's 300 pounds could go on Twitch and get more men donating to her than if you're a guy who's skinny or has muscles and get women donating to you because they don't care. They're not starving for male attention like men are for women attention. They don't have to sit there and wonder if someone will ever like them back. Why do they find that so hard to accept? It's the truth of what is happening. Because they all look at the guy that was in here talking about the stupid passport thing earlier. They want to believe in the insta fix. If you just do this one thing, like get a passport, get muscles, become wealthy, all of a sudden everything will change and there will be this magical different results. It's what they do. They always look for some quick solution to a complex problem. And then when that quick solution doesn't work, they don't then have a character arc and go, oh, you know what? I led you astray, but I completely understand what you were saying before. You did this thing and they're still acting like this. No, what did they do? You probably asked her out in a weird way. You probably said something that turned her off. Because remember, it's always the fault of the man. Every time. Hey, some I was just thinking about this. Wouldn't it be funny if some guy goes to another country to try and get a date and he goes up to some woman that he thinks is hot? 'Cause he's telling you that you'll meet women like it's nothing in these other countries, right? He goes up to some woman that he thinks is hot and he's like, "Hey, so how are you? My name is da 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 da." And then she's like, "Oh, my name is this," and then his name is that, and then her boyfriend comes over and it's this big, bulky, 7 foot guy, and he's like, "Are you messing with my woman?" It's like, no, I was just saying hello. You say hello in your own place. Then he picks you up. throws you back across the river to the US. And while you're like flying, where you're like, looks like I'm blasting off again. And so she was Ash and he was Pikachu. He zapped you in your Team Rocket. Oh man. Are you talking to my woman? No, I was just saying hello. You say hello on your own time. Looks like I'm blasting off again. And dude, it's like, think of how insane this is. If you're a woman, you can take a picture from your bedroom and have 10, 20, 30 guys from across the world trying to like ask you for your number and talk to you. But if you're a guy, you have to go to the gym, you have to have a certain amount of money, you have to travel across the globe with your passport to these different regions. And who knows how long you have to do that? That could be years in and of itself. Um, you have to, I mean, like, who do you not understand how insane it is that, like, you know what? It'd be a perfect movie. Megumi, imagine, I don't even know if you have a sister. Like, let's pretend you have a sister and you live together with her. And she's sitting at her house, at your house, talking to these different guys. They're all messing her, DMing her. And one of the guys is like, hey, that brother of yours, Megumi, where is he? And she's like, somewhere. And then it cuts to you in the North Pole trying to talk to chicks that live under the snow. And you're just saying to yourself, if only I had a triangle, things would be way easier. You don't get where that's insane? Like, if you're a woman, you don't have to go anywhere to get men to think you're attractive. But if you're a guy, you have to go on this Pokemon-esque adventure to all the other regions. You couldn't meet a woman in Kantos, then you go to Johto. Then when you don't find one there, you go to Hoenn, then Sinnoh, then Unova. Like, you're like, what is this? This is crazy. God, I don't. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you understand where it's like the Twilight Zone, right? That you have to do all this stuff for something so minor and so insignificant and so inconsequential. And then when you don't get the results you want, you're still going to get told that you did something wrong. So I said that woman stuff, man. It is the it's an exercise in futility. And I said before, the only role they have had in my life as a collective have been to waste my time and to be used as ammo for other people to attack me with. Those are their two purposes. Kotsky Merchant left the stream. He went to go get his passport. The disparity is on a whole other level. Like I said, if things were actually fair, you could just go to the market or to somewhere around your place and meet somebody. But you don't have that. You have a bunch of individuals try to convince you that things are good the way they are when it's a really unstable system. And dude, it's like, I want you just to one day sit back and just look at women, like just look at some of the ones around you, because contrary to what people say online, they're not all tens out of tens and these amazing smoking hot supermodels. Like, I think I told you that earlier this year, I worked with a woman who I thought was absolutely hideous. She was overweight. I didn't really like, the only thing she had that I thought was attractive was her hair. She had some nice long hair. And she had a kid. And it's like, it drives me insane that people sit here and they act like you have to be this supermodel, because we already said before that you could have muscles and then somebody will call you ugly anyway, so no matter. But it's like, They act like all of these chicks are these 10s out of 10s who are so, like I said, they act like they're gods among men. And it just drives me nuts. Like I I'm tired of it. That's why I don't want to speak to any of them anymore. And you can have somebody talk about remember what that broad said, edging toward extremism. So yeah, you don't bother them and you're extreme. So let me get this straight. If you get a weapon and kill one of them, you're extreme. But then if you don't bother any of them and just leave them alone, you're also extreme. If one of them says, "Oh, I don't want to date you," and then you tie her up and take her back to your place, you're extreme. But if one of them says, "I don't want to date you," and you just leave them alone, you're also extreme. You see how like this bizarre that is? Yeah, either way, I just can't win. If you go around harassing women and attacking them, killing them, you would be, and rightfully so, condemned, told that you're a bad person, what you're doing is evil, it's sinister, it's villainous, etc., etc. But if you say, hey, look, you know what? I tried with these bastards before and they wasted my time. I had a lot of ambitions that they basically stepped on, and I have no desire to be in any way involved with them again. You're evil, you're toxic, you're extreme, you're a radical, you're a bad person. Like, and you're like, oh, you're a bad person because you got rejected. Like, but you're a bad person if you do something violent to one of them, and you're a bad person if you get rejected as well. Remember, they start doing their little psychological analysis of your personality and telling you what they think you should have done and what way in which they believe you. And you're like, so either way, you get your character assassinated for them. To make them seem like they did nothing wrong, there has to be something wrong with you. You can't just be a normal guy who goes to a 9 to 5, tries to has some hobbies outside of that, but generally is just a regular person that wants to have some basic companionship from a woman. Um, they make that seem like that's the most bizarre person ever. Yeah, either way, I just can't win. It's a really accurate panel. I'm gonna bring it back whenever I start doing the edited stuff again because it really is like I feel that way with a lot of things. But really think about that to yourself, like, because remember everybody always says men think they're owed something by women. I said, well, I think if a guy goes out and talks to several dozens of them for years, he should have met one who wanted to have a family, who found him attractive, wanted to be with him. Um, I feel like those are very basic things to want out of one chick out of the 100 that you spoke to. I feel like that's a very basic desire to have, to like to think should be something you can get from speaking to that many of them. And when that desire isn't met, they're actually entitled to you still speaking to them. They don't give you what you want, but you're supposed to still give them your attention and do things that are dedicated toward the purpose of trying to get with one of them, like traveling across the globe. Um, and you're like, where did this mindset come from that if you're a guy, you're owed nothing, nobody has to do anything for you. But if you're a woman, the world has to bend over and let you run your triangle in its backside. Like I don't understand how it devolved into this way. It's and like I said, actual feminism, equality, whatever you want to call it, is chicks going out, asking out men, getting turned down too. Now there's groups of them that are frustrated as well, et cetera, et cetera. That's what a fair system would look like. Instead, it's all geared toward women, and then people act like you're crazy because you notice that and don't want to put up with it anymore. Seriously, if things were fair, Megumi, you could just be posting on YouTube and you'd have some woman go, "Oh, I like your video. How are you?" Da, 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 da. You know that men do that for chicks, right? They don't even see what they look like. They hear a voice and they get turned on by it. But it's not fair. So, it's that's why I said it's all based around these triangles. If you don't have that thing, you might as well even bother. I was talking to my manager a few days ago, um, and she asked me if I had a girlfriend. I said no, and then she said, "Oh, you're enjoying that single life," and I said some of the effect of like, "Not really. It's not really something I wanted." And she's like, "Oh, guys are usually the ones who don't want to make commitments," and I was just laughing to myself in my head, just thinking like, man, she has no idea what it is like to put up with year after year after year of the same stupid, stagnant group of. I mean, it was. Well, it's. I wasn't offended by anything because she. It was probably just an attempt by her to make conversation, but you get the idea, right? That like they have no. A lot of them really have no idea what this is like. They've just been surrounded by guys who have been attracted to them enough to at least do something with them since they were kids. So they just assume that if there's some guy who is single that's like an adult, that he always has wanted to be that way. If I was there, I would have imploded inside. Holy cow! I was just thinking about to myself because I told you that like I generally, if I work somewhere, try to not mention anything about the romance stuff because I know it's like a controversial opinion. Some people agree, some people, especially if you're talking to a woman, you might as well just throw in the towel with that. But I was just really amused by this because it's like they believe if there's some guy who is single, he's made that decision, like how they make a decision, like, hey, I'm not going to be with them. Like they think you must have made that choice as well. Like you must have had at least some of them, some women, right? Like show, and it's never. It's so funny how like they have this idea and it's so polar opposite to reality. If they only knew. I don't know. The whole thing is just tragic to me. Like the idea of going out and trying to become romantically involved with this group that never gets held accountable for anything that they do individually. It's just depressing. Um, Again, the main thing for the last few weeks that I've at least been getting more steady work than for like since like February. So I guess that's the one good part. No, a lot of places have people that try to make conversation, and I just always feel kind of weirded out a little bit, like because they'll try to talk about, oh, you're antisocial, but it's what it is that if I was in any other setting, I'd be much more comfortable. But if you're being paid by somewhere to do a job, the decision to stop doing it to speak to somebody else always like 'cause, they record everything, right? Have cameras all over the place. It always is something I'm worried about because you can get in trouble over anything with these places. I'm imagining he doesn't have the social ability we're looking for. I can already see that. But you get the idea that it's one of those things where you get mistaken for being shy or something because that was what the manager at the place from February tried to say I was, but it's all based around trying to be professional and being in a setting where you are kind of where people expect you to act a certain way, to have some kind of and I guess it's if I believe if I start speaking off the cuff for too long, there's always the risk that you might say something that's considered or do something that's considered like inappropriate. So I'm always worried about that. Like I always don't allow myself to get too comfortable because I know that again these places will get rid of you over anything. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. I was so happy when I found out that place was got traded me in for that crappy woman that was barely showing up. That's understandable. You want to remain professional, not be in a situation of being on the verge of getting in trouble. Yeah, like they frown upon you arguing with other people. These retailers, for example. So when they're speaking, I'm probably not going to say anything. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because now they're playing music and that's gonna give me copyright struck. So thanks Megumi, thanks Akatsuki Merchant. I will be back on Saturday, because that's the usual day. But I did it today because they botched the thing on Monday. So thanks for appearing, thanks for showing up, and have a good Thanksgiving. And I will see you on Saturday, either in the morning or, well, yeah, probably in the morning. I don't picture anything happening today, but you never know. But there will definitely be a stream on Saturday, so look out for it.